the precise level. I'll draw it in one more time. Let's break it out. It's 18,333.3. 18,333. There it is. Okay. If you want the gap close level, I'll get you the gap close level here. It's at 18,263. 18,263 is going to be your technical gap close. You could look for gap fill reversal off of that. Prior day's high, it's kind of meddled with that, so we'll just call it out. It's at 67, 18,167. 18,167 would be your level there. And your value area high is the 924, right? 17,924. 17,924. Okay. Previous day's low, pretty clear, 17.7. That one's flat. 17.7 on the low, spot on. Bingo, nailed it, done, mission accomplished, right? So there we have it. 60-40 odds for downside. A little bit more downside pathing seems to make logical sense here. We will be open-minded to flip-flopping again, and you know, it's whatever comes of it, comes of it. But if we have to flip-flop again, we will do so if there is a higher low over 18,333. But the burden of proof is on those bulls, as we've just said. Okay. That is your NQ. We've spent a little bit more time on the NQ today than we typically do, but that is A-okay because we were a little ahead of schedule earlier on in the show. So I'll let this simmer. I'll take another slug of coffee as the clouds continue to burn off, looking out the floor-to-ceiling glass windows up here in the office. Man, what a beautiful day. What a beautiful day. Had the windows washed yesterday. Man, it's awesome. All right, 3, 2, 1. It's going to disappear. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Poof, gone. Gone, gone, gone. And let's jump on over to the QQQ Cash ETF. Let's see what is happening over here. QQQ Cash ETF is going to be a rinse and repeat of the theoretical concepts that we've talked about, right? We are looking for generally the same idea. Here is the do or die zone. You can see that we've broken. It wouldn't be unreasonable for a lower high under the zone to continue the downtrend and prevent the buyers from turning this into a more structural low, right? The base case was, okay, as long as we were above, oh, look, higher low, right? You can even see, I'm not a big fan of trend lines. You guys know this. Not a big fan of trend lines. But if I do something that looks like this, connecting the capitulation low to the next higher low here, that trend line has undoubtedly broken. So is it possible after a trend line break, I'm a little bit more fond of the horizontals, right? A level break, a trend line break, a whatever break, is it possible that a lower high could be set here to break this bullish thesis? Yes, that is the whole reason we called the emergency meeting yesterday. All right, that's that. We have from Mike, trend lines are grail. That's the thing. I mean, everybody can, the beautiful part about the market is there's a million ways to skin the cat. If you like trend lines, then by all means, use trend lines. I personally have found a little bit more success using horizontal levels. So whatever works for you, right? Whatever works for you. So in this case, we both have to agree. There's a trend line break and there's a level break, right? So with that, I would say we know what we're looking for. We just need to give you the new numbers. The numbers here on the QQQ Cash, the zone, is between the low of Thursday's session, 441, and the low of the Wednesday session at 438.25. That's your do or die zone. You can see that the market's currently pushing into that, as a matter of fact, right now. A little bit more lift into that level as we come barreling into the opening bell. So looking for rejections first. First thought is, where can we produce a lower high here? Where can we get a rejection to set some sort of lower high, continue to the equal lows? That would be the low of the prior day session around 427.70, the bottom end of the weekly expected move. So beautiful alignment out of that. If the singles are going to close all the way, it's to the August 5th panic low, which honestly is the single print range from in here. Remember, we closed a little bit more of that on yesterday's session, not perhaps, but precisely this much more of the single print. So this is what remains in the circle now. That's to 424.75. 424.75, right? And that is that's that. Okay, those are the levels. Those are the numbers. That's if we get that rotation to the previous day's low. We're looking for a lower high here. The burden of proof is on the buyers. They need to set a higher low over 441. I don't have this mapped with yellow lines like I typically do with a gap, but this is your gap right here. The bottom end of the gap is ultimately that do or die zone high at 441. So if the market were to get over that, higher low here starts to set up what? Inverted head and shoulders, and then we will change our tone when appropriate if this higher low steps up, and if we break out over 449, close this gap first, but ultimately the equal high targets here at 465.85 are more so the target. I would also call out one more time. We didn't talk about this as much on the spiders cash side, but I will call it out here on the QQQ. Notice this is a lower low, whereas the ES had much more of an equal low, right? The overshoot here from here to here is much more pronounced out of the QQQ, which is a sign of relative weakness, RW, relative weakness. And we'll also go ahead and throw on our intraday anchored view app set. If we do something that looks like that, you can see that the cluster of anchored view apps is right here. This comes from, if we just look left, the low of the capitulation move. We have the anchored view app here is technically around 449. Then we have all of these, right? This is before the precipitous drop. This is gap down number 1. This is gap down number 2. All of those are clustered up here at 438.25. So at first glance, great, support, maybe holding above. We gapped down underneath them. Now they have the opportunity to act as resistance, confluence for that lower high argument in here. If we brigade bolt over them, once again, burden of proof is on the buyers. I want to be very clear. 60-40 odds. 60-40 odds. It means that we're okay. It's not the worst thing in the world if we have to look for longs if this new threat case gets blown out of the water, right? If the NQ, if the QQQ cash, if these ETFs, if they just go straight through and set a higher low above, guess what? We will have to flip-flop once again and say, okay, we're at best neutral here, and then we'll possibly entertain longs on the break over 449 to get into this gap close overhead, then the equal highs 465.85. Okay, that's that. All right. That is the QQQ. Let's give this a little reset. We've got 9:02 on the clock. How are we doing in the office here? We're doing good. We've still got about 5,000 of you folks jammed up into the office. Tesla earnings after the close. Don't forget it. Cool. Let's keep this thing going. Let's keep it going. Let's jump on over to the Rusty Russell. I know nobody likes the Russell. Some people like the Russell, but a majority don't. Let's jump into it and let's talk about what we need to talk about, which is honestly the little recovery effort that's taking place outside of the choppy, sloppy zone, right? Stinky Man of the Woods 413. I like the Russell. There you go. We've got some people. We like, some people like the Russell here. So this range was trying